So Bleacher Report put out an article, top 25 most influential athletes since 2000. I want to specifically focus, because I think there's a bunch of issues with the list. I think the idea of having Tiger Woods not 2 is insane to me when he was the reason people watched golf for over a decade. I believe the idea of Caitlin Clark, while I understand while it's prevalent now, I'm not going to give her just, talk about putting her there too early in comparisons to other great women basketball players. Not going to go there, right? Bunch of issues don't want to focus on. I want to focus kind of specifically on the NBA one. So the top 4 guys, Mount Rushmore of sorts of influence, according to this Bleacher Report article. LeBron James is 1, Steph Curry is 2, Kobe Bryant is 3, and Allen Iverson is 4. Now these are the correct 4 names. The problem is they're in probably the complete opposite order. Here's the thing, Bleacher Report, and here's the thing for anybody listening. When it comes to influence is something that can't really be measured just by on-court performance, on-field performance. We have to see influence. We have to feel influence. There's probably not a person alive or that is past that has more influence on the actual players than Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson was a style. Allen Iverson was a message. Allen Iverson, he was the culture of basketball, both professionally, pickup, hanging out with your friends, however you wanted to consume basketball in the early 2000s, the mid 2000s, even now. No one has had more of a direct impact on the actual players, stylistically, culturally, than Allen Iverson. He would be number 1 on my list. Then we get to 2, which is Kobe Bryant and the Mamba mentality. We all know the impact. There's a reason why when people shoot a basketball, both sports fans and people that are just casuals, we all shout the same thing when we shoot our paper. Kobe's impact is not just stylistically. Kobe copied Michael Jordan, so it's not like he's giving us a quote-unquote original style when it comes to on-court performance. But that mentality, that never give up, that feeling that you could just feel he was trying harder than everybody else on the court. And remember, he was generally, in most nights, the most talented person on the court. And he was still trying the hardest. He was still busting his ass. We can feel that. You can't put it into exact words. We could feel that. That was the Mamba mentality. And then if I was to go with 3rd, I would put Steph, who has revolutionized the way NBA basketball is played. You could say what you want about people now who love or hate the three-point shot and teams taking 20, 30, 40 threes a game. But that was created by Steph Curry. The modern NBA follows Steph Curry. When Steph first got into the league, there was all this talk. Charles Barkley was famous for it. You can't win a title making jump shots. Steph Curry changed that. Go all the way back. I just saw an Amon Shumpert interview. And he said it was the famous game in the Garden. Oh, she's going to take 30, 40 footers all day. Perfect. That's good defense. That's no longer good defense since Steph Curry has been in the NBA. And there's a bunch of guys who aren't as good at what he does. But the fact his existence has polarized this game around the three-point shot, something it had never been, not during Magic and Bird's era, and Bird is one of the greatest shooters ever. Not during the 90s with Michael playing, and there was great shooters then. Not in the 2000s, Reggie Miller for the 90s. Not in the 2000s, all of its great athletes, and not in the 2010s until Steph Curry became a primetime player. His impact on the game, the way the game is played, is greater than anybody's. And then you would get to LeBron, who, not to be critical of LeBron, as far as a player, LeBron obviously one of the greatest players, and a very easy argument to be made, the greatest player we've ever seen. Maybe the most body created, made to play basketball human being ever. 6'9", 250 pounds, runs like that. Calling him a super athlete doesn't even do it justice. But influence? Where's LeBron's influence? Now, in this article, they give him player empowerment. I'm going to be honest with you. Player empowerment was coming regardless. The more money people make, the more empowered they feel. This is not just a sports thing. This is a life thing. This is at any job thing. If you go to work and you don't have to be the CEO, you don't have to be the boss, you don't have to be the president, you don't have to be the biggest guy at the company, but you start making six figures plus, you start making at some of these jobs 7 figures, and you get a real lot of self-importance because your paychecks are getting bigger and bigger, that will empower you. Money will empower you. The more money that has come into sports, yes, LeBron has been the best player during this, but I'm not giving him player empowerment in its entirety. Money creates empowerment. Money also creates entitlement, which a lot of these guys seem to have, which I'm also not giving LeBron the negative part of that. LeBron has always finished out contracts. LeBron has always honored the deals he signed. I don't put the rampant guys who are willing to, ask for trades a year out, 2.5 years out, etc. I don't put that on LeBron. And if I'm not going to give you the negative, I can't give you all the positive. Money was going to empower these players. And let's be honest, stylistically, you can't give influence to LeBron. Nobody could be LeBron James. You can't be 6'9", 260 and do the things that he was physically gifted from God to do. It doesn't happen. So again, we got 4 basketball players who made this list. And I think that you just got to flip-flop the order because we have AI from a cultural perspective, Kobe from a demeanor perspective and mentality, Steph for the actual gameplay that has been changed, and yes, LeBron, just on the basis of being the greatest player we've probably any of us have ever seen, especially if you're a younger person, you never got to watch Michael Jordan play. But that's really where, if we're talking about influence, no. Talking about overall greatness, yes, he's number 1. And again, there's other things I could rip about this list, but the NBA and the basketball players were the biggest thing that stood out to me. Transitioning from that, I know we started late. The Bears are routinely talked about as the best opening for a head coach. Want to be a brand new head coach, go to the Bears. They got Caleb Williams. They still have Roma Dunze. They're going to have DJ Moore. They're going to still have these pieces on defense. Everything that we were told why the Bears are going to be good this year, they're going to have next year. And if you feel like you're the right coach, why would you not want that opportunity? I'm going to bring up a name. Now, I want to be very clear here. If the Bears can get Ben Johnson, which there's some conflicting reports from people that I trust who say Ben Johnson is a very low-key kind of guy. He might not want to be in a big city like Chicago where he's going to have press around him all the time with someone like Caleb Williams, who's going to create even extra press because of the star that he is. So Ben Johnson would be my number 1 pick, but let's say those reports are correct and that's not really where he wants to be. He doesn't want to be in the super limelight. The next guy who I don't hear anyone talking about, and I feel like this is messed up because I feel like this guy got a raw deal to start. If I'm the Chicago Bears, I go after Eric Bieniemy, and I don't second guess it. Now, this again, Ben Johnson's your number 1 choice, but if you can't get Ben, why would you not go after Eric Bieniemy? Listen, Eric Bieniemy 1,000% got a raw deal. He should have already been offered a head coaching contract. It seems like he has been as much as the Rooney Rule has worked, it feels like in his case, it's who has, as a coordinator, has as many accomplishments as him, it feels like it's almost worked against him, where he's getting these interviews just to pacify the Rooney Rule, and then we don't talk to him anymore. Well, he just got fired from UCLA. He must not be that good of a head coach. Maybe he just doesn't interview well. Maybe he's mean to the players like they said in Washington. That stuff could all be true, but the reality of the NFL and the reality of professional sports is we go off results. Let's look at the results of Eric Bieniemy. 50 touchdown Patrick Mahomes, multiple time MVP Patrick Mahomes, one of the greatest offenses we've ever seen. And now let's look at Patrick Mahomes post Eric Bieniemy. The last year Eric Bieniemy was there, MVP. And that was post Tyreek Hill. Then we've had the 2 years since Eric Bieniemy left the building. And I know Andy Reid's the play caller. Andy Reid's really the genius behind it. Why have we seen in consecutive seasons the 2 worst offenses for the Kansas City Chiefs since Eric Bieniemy left. Well, I know they don't have as good of tackles. Travis Kelce is older. You don't think a great play caller, a great offensive mind, which Eric Bieniemy has proven he is, couldn't work around some of these other things in regards to Travis Kelce losing a step or integrating different receivers? And I understand they've won Super Bowls without him. Fine. But their offense, the thing that he's known for, you don't give him credit because the defense is great. Steve Spagnuolo gets that credit. You don't give him credit because the special teams is great. No, their special teams coordinator gets that. Why does Eric Bieniemy not have a job? It just doesn't make sense. And I understand Ben Johnson, the Lions are rolling. He's the biggest name out there right now. But before Ben Johnson, you know who was Ben Johnson? Eric Bieniemy. Super Bowls, top 5 offenses, MVP awards for his players. Again, Ben Johnson's your first choice. But if Ben is this, wants to be low-key, doesn't want to be in the big city, doesn't want all the limelight, if that stuff is true, go give Eric Bieniemy a chance. He deserves it. I never understood, besides the obvious reasons, why Eric Bieniemy never got a chance. And by the obvious reasons, yes, I'm talking about the racial reasons. Give him a chance. We did start late today, so we're going to have a very, very short break here. And then when we come back, we have Will stopping by, as well as the most unabated fire or storyline that was just unnecessary for a team. Of course it came from the Philadelphia Eagles. Of course it did. This is HardFoul Radio. We'll be back momentarily.